Malone said he wants the news portion of CNN to be more centrist, but I am not in control or directly involved. Have you been reporting this out? I know that's strange for me to ask.
Well, I think that's a good question that people are asking. Is John Malone responsible for axing your show?
Turns out that Reliable Sources, which is hosted by Brian Stelter over at CNN, has been canceled. And there are some pretty important questions about the direction CNN is headed for, especially because it's under new ownership and the owner wants to move it, I would argue, in reality, to the right, although he argues that he wants to move it to the center. In fact, according to Mediaite, he said, quote, I would like to see CNN evolve back to the kind of journalism that it started with and actually have journalists, Malone said last year, citing Fox News's, get a load of this, Bret Baier and Brit Hume as positive examples. Now let's hear a little more from this exchange on Reliable Sources. And just to give you a note, Claire Atkinson is the individual on the panel who is asking, I think, the right questions. She's the chief media correspondent for Insider. Let's watch.
Is John Malone responsible for axing your show? I don't know the answer to that. I think people might suspect it's political. He is a libertarian who believes in not paying taxes if he can avoid it. But the question is, he said he's not directly involved.
Right,
I
to be
think
clear,
that's
he
an
denied.
interesting
He
quote.
denied.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then I think he's a businessman. He's looking at where the money is, where the audience is, and the viewership on the left is split between CNN and MSNBC, and the viewership on the right is all at Fox News. They have a bigger audience, lots of money, and perhaps he's saying, you know what, if we shift a little bit this way, maybe we'll get that too. But he acknowledged in the meantime, there's going to be the possibility of people leaving CNN and the possibility that ratings go down.
So, I mean, look, Cenk, whatever Malone's strategy is here, it's stupid. And you're not gonna outfox Fox. CNN was already in my mind, closest to centrist cable news network, whereas MSNBC just pays lip service to Democratic voters who absolutely love the establishment and never wanna question it or criticize it. And so I don't really know what the play is here. But if it's to further destroy CNN, I think Malone's doing a great job. And I don't know, maybe that's his overarching goal here.
No, so I think I have a sense of what the play is. So first of all, I think both John Malone and the reporter that you just heard, both genuinely believe the things that they are saying, although they are both completely wrong about their perspective. So let me explain. So John Malone appears to be a lifelong Republican, and he's been involved in media forever. I've been reading about him for my entire career, 25 years. He's a very bright guy, a great businessman, but as with most incredibly wealthy businessmen, not all, but most, he thinks, yeah, well, of course the Republicans are right about taxes, tax cuts, and deregulation, et cetera. It's a mindset, it's a groupthink that they have. So they don't view that as radical. They don't view that as one end of the political spectrum. They view that as the center. Give rich people tax cuts and deregulate their companies. That's the center. And in his mind, the Democrats always confirm that because the Bidens and the Schumers will go along with Republicans and give them the tax cuts that they wanted. It's happened for the last 40, 50 years. They've given them all the deregulation, including in media, including in the companies that John Malone owns and deals with. So he thinks that's the center of the country. In reality, it's the center of his country club. And it is massively right wing, especially on economic issues. By the way, the reporter is also wrong. So she says, well, maybe they're splitting the viewership between CNN and MSNBC for viewers on the left.
It's ridiculous.
What are you talking about? What viewers on the left? So I know that there are people who vote in Democratic primaries that watch both of those channels for sure, right? But they are older and the demographic information is indisputable on that. They both average around 68 years old, their audience, but they're not on the left at all. And this idea that Brian Stelter was fired because he's on the left. I mean, look, too often all of corporate media agrees a neoliberal that is a little like not draconian on social issues but his far right on economic issues is on the left. No, Brian Stelter's not on the left. MSNBC is not even on the left, let alone CNN. CNN is nowhere near the left. What John Malone is telling you is, I'm going to take a socially somewhat progressive channel and an economically conservative channel, and I'm going to turn it into massively economically conservative, and on social issues, we'll call everything a tie. Should you be racist? Should you not be racist? I can't tell, it's a tie. Should you hate gay people or should you not hate gay people? I can't tell, it's a tie. But we all know tax cuts for the rich and deregulation for everybody. So Anna, to the second point that you made, is it a good strategy? No, they're gonna get obliterated. So that's the good news, that's the silver lining in all of this. So I like Stelter, I've had agreements, I've had disagreements. I think he's mainly a corporate media guy, I don't care, right? But for him to get fired because he's too far left shows you the CNN is gonna go into the so-called BS neutrality business, which means I take Attila the Hun, I take a reasonable position, and I say Attila the Hun is 80% right, and I call that bipartisan, centrist, and neutral. No, you're not doing news gathering anymore. All you're doing is playing politically correct games. Hey, Republicans don't hate me, Democrats don't hate me. I'm going to be politically neutral and neutral to the truth. I swear I'll never share that with our audience. I'll only share news that basically fillets both of the parties.
I mean, that was what the most infuriating aspect of CNN was and honestly continues to be. But during the Trump era, after maybe a year or so of his administration, CNN finally started questioning the legality of what Trump was up to, started covering him in a negative light because he deserved to be covered in a negative light. And it's amazing to me that now you have this libertarian come in who only seems to care about what's in his pockets and starts correcting CNN on the one thing they kind of started to do correctly, but didn't really go in all the way. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They were still so afraid to seem biased. So on one hand, you have Trump breaking the law and on multiple occasions, putting this country in jeopardy with the rhetoric he was using openly online in regard to nuclear weaponry and stuff like that. And you're supposed to pretend like that guy is an equal to Democrats and what they're up to. It's just insane, absolutely insane.
Yeah, and by the way, they'll never criticize corporate Democrats either. And if you're neutral, how come there are no progressives on there?
Come on.
Funny how all of a sudden MSNBC and CNN can't find a progressive. And so they all neutrality my ass. You're purposely lying to the American people to manufacture consent for corporate rule. So look, John Malone and Chris Licht, who's the new head of CNN. I got a question for you. It's super easy questions. I mean, if you're in the journalism business, these are all softballs. Hit them out of the park, right? When Donald Trump says that you should inject bleach into your lungs, are you supposed to say, I can't tell? 50-50, maybe you should. And no, it's disinfectant and not necessarily into the lungs. So maybe it's a good idea. I can't tell. What am I, a reporter? When Donald Trump says that wind causes cancer, are you supposed to tell people that maybe? When Donald Trump says, hey, I won the election without a shred of evidence and after losing 60 court cases in a row, are you supposed to say maybe? And that one they've already answered. Yes, they say you're not allowed to say, this is a new edict at CNN, you're not allowed to say the big lie anymore. You have to say that the 2020 election, apparently you're not sure. But
come on.
No, that just means you're gonna lie to your audience. So from going forward, Chris Licht's job is to tell every anchor, you either lie to your audience and you cover for the Republicans and Donald Trump, or we're gonna fire you. And then they'll pretend to be neutral and objective. It's a goddamn joke.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.